Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASTV Soccer Show. I'm Mahith Gamage. I'm joined by Rahim, Mohamed, and Nicole Drozda from Saskatchewan Soccer today. We had a show last week with the AK Soccer Academy here in Winnipeg. This one with Saskatchewan Soccer, as I mentioned, as they're coming back with their return to play and some events coming up. Guys, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. No complaints. I started school last week, so I've just been sitting at home doing nothing, attending classes in the morning, and pretty much wasting most of my days. It's hard doing online classes, you just it's so difficult, compared to what we usually do. But you know what? I go to the University of Winnipeg, and I live decently far from it. I usually have to bus an hour to school, so it saves me a lot of time. But anyway, I'll start with you, Rahim. So what exactly is your job at Saskatchewan Soccer?
Yeah, so I'm the director of soccer. I oversee basically the strategic and technical operations and the strategic technical operations of the province. So we have a strategic plan that we work from. It helps guide us on our day-to-day delivery. And then in addition to that, overseeing the different pathways. So we have in soccer what we call streams of participation. So we have grassroots, which is, anything from when they first start in soccer to 13, youth is 14 to 18, and then adult soccer. So within that, there's obviously player development, coach development, referee development, competitions development, and sort of bringing all of that together along with the vision of Canada Soccer and under their leadership and guidance that they provide us, as well as Saskatchewan Sport, who we're also a member of, which is a body that's funded by the Lotteries and Trust here, and we're incredibly fortunate to be a part of because they provide us with incredible financial support, and in addition to resources and other support mechanisms to really enhance sport here in the province, and specifically for us, obviously, soccer in the province, and now also moving into a futsal space as well over the coming years.
So how long have you been working as director of soccer?
I've been here since June of 2017. It's almost scary to say that because I feel like I literally started yesterday.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know where the last 3 years have gone, but I'll just say that should be a good thing because it means that I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was living in Toronto, and I was working at Toronto High Park Football Club, which is about a club of 5,000 players. And then prior to that, I lived in London, Ontario for 12 of 13 years. So I went to Western. So I know you go to University of Winnipeg, but I went to Western and then just never left. So I stuck around London, Ontario, moved to the States to coach in NCAA Division I soccer, came back to London, and then made my way to Toronto, and now firmly established and loving life in Saskatchewan, and even the winters, although my wife might disagree with me on that one.
And Nicole, how about you? What's your job?
I am coordinator of member services. So I do just that. I provide service to our member organizations. So I provide support so that they can provide quality, safe programs. So I do that through education and bylaw support and things like that. And I have been with Saskatchewan Soccer for a bit longer than Rahim. I've been 6 years. Before that, I was with one of our local organizations, so that has been beneficial to me in this position as well, to have that perspective. I was with FC Regina for about 7 years, so soccer is a really big part of my life.
That's good. I think we're all in that same boat there. Yeah, for me, I do this show pretty much just in my spare time. I'm a big soccer fan. My other job is I work as a scout for an agency here in Winnipeg, Icon Sports. We work with Canadian Premier League teams. So I do that as an internship, and then I do this just as a fun little side thing for my boss Glenn, who gave me this opportunity. But yeah, I mean, it's great that you guys get to turn your passion into work, and that's something that I aspire to do as well. So it's cool to think that you can definitely get that done in Canada, because growing up, it's not a big thing, soccer in Canada, and it's growing for sure, which is very nice to see. And Yeah, it's nice that you guys can have made careers out of your passions, because not a lot of people get to do that, to be honest.
It's definitely a double-edged sword because you love what you do, that you want to just do it all the time, and
Yeah,
then you forget about actually living life. So
yeah,
we
Yeah.
are a pretty soccer crazy group of staff here, and we're also incredibly passionate about it. So many of our lives have been impacted positively about it, and I think that is, in many ways, the goal of sport participation is lifelong sport participation. We've just been fortunate to manifest it in a way that this is our profession, and we get to work in the game and give back to it. And it sort of is the tie that binds us together, especially when there's a lot of work and crazy world scenarios that we have to deal with, and we're able to do it together.
hmm Speaking of crazy world scenarios, I assume you guys stopped playing and stopped having events for a bit around March, April, maybe into May. But you guys have returned to soccer. So how is that? How's that going?
So it's been a really interesting period of time, because March 13th, Canada Soccer announced an indefinite suspension of soccer activity that was across the country. So all provinces and territories stopped any type of organized sanctioned soccer. Through that, it was a shock to the system, I would say. But as is our passion for sport, a lot of organizations, both clubs and provincial bodies, pivoted very quickly to start to deliver what this time was affording us, which is educational opportunities. And so, while there was a period of time away from the field, it really allowed for the community or the soccer community within Canada to try and find ways to stay and maintain engagement. Canada Soccer ran webinars for referee education. John Herdman, the men's national team coach, ran a webinar. Rian Wilkinson and Robin Gale were delivering webinars. Canada Soccer started a podcast. For us, we delivered a series of educational opportunities for our members, both coaching, refereeing, member organization development. And so it was an interesting time to connect, and I think it actually helped reaffirm everyone's love and passion for the game. During that time, it also became very clear that every province is in a different scenario. So some were really in the throes of COVID and trying to get it manageable. Here in Saskatchewan, the government did a terrific job of taking very swift and quick action, probably similar to Manitoba, where I know that you guys had a very low number of cases, and then as things opened up, you guys started to have a bit of a spike. But here, the things were shut down quickly. Everyone in Saskatchewan should, is commended on how everyone approached the situation, which is for the greater good. And we were able to open up our economy and start to open up our economy quickly. And through that, we then had a sort of a reopen Saskatchewan plan, and that allowed for soccer to be a part of like phase 4. I think it was ended up being phase 4.1. And so end of June is when we started to get the green light. Canada Soccer, working with each individual province, understanding the different geographical realities, allowed us to submit a provincial plan and for their review and also additional guidance, because they have a different perspective working with all the provinces and territories and could share some of the learnings. And the technical committee for Canada Soccer, which I sit on, worked together to build a foundational document for everyone to work from. And then everyone, or all member organizations, before they went back to soccer in early July, completed a return to soccer assessment, which helped provide them with some other additional insight on areas where they may need to spend a bit more time or focus in on to really, the goal is ultimately risk mitigation, right? So in general, sports should be about a safe and positive environment, but safety is now, not just about the athlete, but also the health of the athlete, being a primary focus based on trying to reduce transmission and mitigate the risk of potential transmissions within organizations. And so it was a very interesting process to go through, and it was really interesting and also, really heartening to see everyone take hold of the information and want to do the best for the athletes. And I think that that's something that has just been, I don't know, in many ways, it's just been a huge positive to see that athlete safety is front of mind in soccer. And, all our organizations are doing their best on a day-to-day basis to align to their return to soccer plans, which they need, governmental direction, but also provincial sport body direction from us as well. And I think that that's allowed us to have a safe return. Obviously participation numbers are impacted, and every family has a different situation and scenario. Some families were impacted financially through COVID. Others just may not, want to take the risk. Others may have multi-generational homes where they have elders that are immunocompromised. So it's been a different return to soccer in many ways. But I think the numbers of return in terms of percentages have been higher than we may have expected, given the fact that, there was still a lot of uncertainty in July of what COVID was. We were just getting into month 4 of our COVID reality in Canada. And I think, with each passing week and month, we start to get more and more information. And so that it's been a learning process for everybody. It's been an opportunity to relook at how we deliver programming, how we restructure programming, and finding ways to meet the participants' needs, because that's what people play is they play for their needs to be met, whether it's socially or whether it's through games, or because they love the sport, or because they love their coach. And so in and around the early part of July, Nicole actually took over our provincial response to the return to soccer plan, and also returning to play. And I think she can sort of share a few more insights on, what our members have faced and experienced over the last, I would say, 2 months or so, as we now get ready for a completely different reality of moving indoors. We were fortunate to have lovely weather and outdoor facility, and now all of a sudden we're indoors in confined spaces. So, I think Nicole can provide some more thoughts on what's been happening from that front.
Yeah, I returned from mat leave in the midst of all this planning, so it was kind of a weird time to come back to work, but it's been really good. And like Rahim has said, our member organizations have done an incredible amount of work to get back to the pitch safely and provide service to their members. We've been meeting with them regularly. When we were in the thick of things, it was bi-weekly, and now we meet with them once a month. And things are always changing, and they've showed a real willingness to change with it. I think we're going to release version 7 of our return to soccer plan today. So yeah, things are always coming up, and we're planning for the unknown and adapting as we need to. For indoor, which a lot of our organizations are planning for right now, a lot of the same guidelines as outdoor, but then they have to adapt for facility guidelines as well. So a lot of things coming up with that, and a lot of work left to do. But I do think that we're kind of getting used to the new normal, as people like to say. And we're offering soccer, which is important.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult situation. I enrolled for like the C license coaching course in around March through Manitoba Soccer, and like the week before we were supposed to do the two full days, COVID broke out, or like that's when everything started shutting down. So then it delayed for a bit, and then they gave us an online. They kind of split it up into on-field versus like the thesis learning kind of stuff. And like, so we did the online learning for a few months. Like, I believe it was like every week or every other week we would meet for like a Zoom call and go through the like modules. And that took like 2 months. And then like we were supposed to get to the on-field after that, but now it's all postponed probably till next year. So it's been so difficult, but like they've done a fantastic job. And it's very difficult to deliver it online, especially with like you have to do a lot of group work and all that stuff. But I think they did a marvelous job. And like it's sort of the adapting that is so difficult, because you have to be able to do this stuff, but you just have to find a different way to do it. And it's lucky that we have kind of technology to help us, because I don't know what would have happened like even like 15 years ago with anything like this. I could not imagine it. So we will go to a quick commercial break right now, because we're at the 15-minute mark, but we'll be right back with Rahim, Mohamed, and Nicole Drozda from Saskatchewan Soccer.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind, with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Hey guys, welcome back to the ASTV Soccer Show. I'm with this dynamic duo from Saskatchewan Soccer. We were just talking about the return to play over the last few months. Everything's changed, but we are glad to be back. Is there anything that you guys are planning for like the coming months or before the end of the year as we move forward?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of cool things sort of on the fire right now. So the first thing is we just launched our first ever female coach mentorship program. It's a program that is designed to support the development of female coaches through really a couple of key goals. One of them is connecting female coaches around the province, because I think there's an opportunity for them to create a really positive and supportive network throughout the different geographies that we have and local member organizations. The other one was to connect them with experts, both within soccer and outside of soccer, because I would say the one thing that sometimes gets overlooked is better people make better coaches, just like better people will make better players. And so if we want better players, we need better coaches. And we also have to do a good job of supporting coaches through their journey, because someone coming into any type of coaching role, it doesn't come with a wealth of experience. It is a journey, just as it is similar for a player, where they grow in leaps and bounds initially, and then later on, as they start to get to potentially better levels, there's a lot of refinement and due diligence and focus placed on their development. And so it's an opportunity to connect them for both the positive side of, I got a call and somehow I answered instead of rejecting it, but really connect them in with experts and that have experience in the game, but also outside of the game, to assist their own growth and development. And then lastly, it's to give them experiences and support in a practical perspective. So they'll have the opportunity to engage, depending on where they reside, in some of our high performance programming, or through a series of tailored tasks for their development. So there's going to be 5 different workshops between November and April. And in addition to that, there'll be some financial support for the participants to pursue future coaching education. And the applications closed on Monday, and the response has actually been overwhelming. I think we had been really targeting about 6 to 8, and we would have been thrilled with that. We've ended up with 19, and they come from both urban and rural areas. And it's great to see that it's not just one organization or one club or one center. We've got people from all different parts of our province that are participating in it, and I think that shows that there was a need and a desire for it. But more importantly, it means that there's just going to be a bigger and larger network, and I think we have the chance to really impact their lives and support their coaching goals and ambitions. So we're incredibly excited about that. We're incredibly excited about some of the speakers that we have lined up for that. And I'm already looking forward to being able to just be a part of it and support the process. Leanne Schellenberg, our communications and funds development coordinator, is going to be leading the workshops with our guest speakers. And I'm excited to just learn and be a fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm. So what's like the outline for it? Like what's like the time period going to be like? And
yeah, so we have one workshop a month in October, November. There's going to be one workshop each, and then January, February, March, and we're working on a guest speaker. So I may have let the cat out of the bag on that one, but I haven't said who. But a guest speaker in the month of April. So each workshop coincides with a different task, but a different learning objective or outcome. Followed by some practical education support. So we're supporting them through their formal education, through financial support for their courses, but also the informal side of mentorship. So myself and Marcus Rankins, our coordinator Sport for All, who is an incredible coach educator, and coach mentor, we're going to work together with the different participants to support their coaching development journey to sort of put them on the path to achieving their aspirations.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. I think that's a fantastic thing to be doing, especially at this time. And you guys are mentioning futsal as well, right?
Yeah, so futsal has, I think Saskatchewan's perfect for futsal, to be honest. Our climate is one that allows for a lot of indoor sport participation. So there's a couple of cool things that have been happening. So the first thing is we have been, futsal has been announced as a part of the 2022 Saskatchewan Winter Games. So it's the first time that's ever going to be a part of a Winter Games. So that means that the 9 different sport districts will be fielding a boys and girls futsal team in February of 2022 in Regina. So we're really excited to see futsal make its debut. But in the background, we've been working for the past couple of years. We have a really dedicated futsal working group of individuals that are incredibly passionate about futsal in our province. And they have helped provide input, support, access to resources for us to help grow the game of futsal. So we now have competitions. We have a provincial championship. We've had representation at the Canadian Futsal National Championships over the past 3 years. We won a silver in 2017. We won bronze in 2018. And we were 1 goal away from being in the gold medal match in 2019, but we ended up in the bronze medal match and we were unsuccessful. But we've also had representation at Canadian national team futsal camps. So Jay Tomchuk, who's been our main representative over the past couple of years, he earned a few national team caps in Chile in 2018. And then we've also had Nikki Bikis and Mitchell Bosch that have been invited into more recent national team camps along with Jay. So futsal is something that we're seeing a lot of interest in and growth. And, from a member organization perspective and access to facilities, I think Nicole can kind of help illuminate how futsal ties in really nicely with our communities being able to deliver futsal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, go ahead, Nicole.
I was just going to say, in a lot of our rural communities, there's great opportunity for futsal. They don't have access to some of the indoor soccer centers that some of our cities have. So there's definitely room for expansion in those areas as well.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I actually didn't really think of that. Futsal is definitely growing. I mean, even in Manitoba, we have like Adam Mui, who works at MSA, and he's been very big in trying to grow the game, which I think is fantastic, especially since we have so many winter months, and it's the closest you can kind of get, I suppose, to like development at that level. Nicole, is there anything else that you guys are working on in the coming months, or are those like the biggest things?
One of the exciting things that we have been working on for the past few years, not so much right now with COVID going on, but we're planning on getting back to it, is walking soccer. Not sure if you've heard of that before. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's soccer where you walk. It's great for seniors, those that have had injuries, those that just don't want to run anymore. So we've had great success with that. It's really picking up speed across Canada, and in the UK, they have over 500 teams right now. So we've had some really good feedback from our pilot events. There's been players that have come up to me and said that they haven't been able to play soccer and they love the game, but due to a heart condition, they haven't played in 30 years. So that gives them an opportunity to get back out on the pitch. So that's something that we're working with our members to be able to provide, and there's been quite a bit of interest in it.
I love how you described it as it's gaining speed.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that you guys are so committed to growing the game for like all types of people, which is something that I think is very crucial. Like Rahim was mentioning, like the rural and urban people from like all across the province, and now walking soccer, which is something I've never heard of before, and I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
But and I think that's fantastic, and it's we try our best to like morph the game to fit different people, which I think is fantastic. but yeah, that's a great. That's so interesting. I've never heard of that concept before.
Well, if you think of it from like the power of sport, right? So sport bringing us here together today, but sport is there for everyone. And I think that, you know, when sport can be accessible and inclusive, it has the power to affect many people. And we often look at the mainstream, you know, we get the professional soccer. We have CPL and MLS and games from all over Europe that are part of it. And so the access to soccer has been incredible in the past couple of years. But there are populations that exist out there that are dying for the ability to find a sport that can cater to their needs as well. And that's where I think sport can be a powerful tool for community. I think it can be a powerful tool for long-term health and longevity. I think it can be a powerful tool for the psychology of an individual as well. Because, you know, someone that may not get as much frequent social contact, that is, you know, older, coming to a walking soccer event and being able to slowly build a little bit of a new community through that and shared experiences, it gives them a bit of a reprieve from being isolated or being lonely. For others, you know, that have injury, they're not able to participate in sport, and sport may have been a really big part of their life before, because sport often is. And that's one of the things as well where, you know, we often think, you know, we think about the broad spectrum of, okay, you know, kids, adults, but we don't often think of that transition away from that. So even a new player into a sport, if you don't have a grounding in general soccer skills, it can be a very daunting task. And then showing up to play on a 80 by 120 pitch with 21 other players on the field can seem incredibly complex.
Yeah.
And so the ability to have physical activity, which is also takes into mind the social side of it, that's where we can actually reach out and interact with so many more individuals and really make it an inclusive sport. And one of the things that, you know, in addition to walking soccer as well, our, you know, Nicole as part of our membership services have focused on is athletes with a disability as well. And they're another part of the population that doesn't always have program catering to them. So, you know, I'll leave it to Nicole to maybe talk about some of our athletes with a disability initiatives, but it's just another angle to be more inclusive and accessible as a sport.
Yeah, so we offer a few different member services in that area. We have adaptive sport try-it kits for our organizations. So those include the bumpers for wheelchairs and balls for the those with sight impairment. And then we have adaptive sport guide that we provide our membership. And then we also, on the Special Olympics side, we have a partnership with them. And we recently, a couple of years ago, incorporated them into our provincial competition. So we have a Special Olympics side to those as well. We've done quite a bit of work in that area, and we're always looking to do more. We recently formed Inclusion and Diversity Working Group, which has representation from people across our province from all different backgrounds. So we're looking forward to what they bring to us on how we can improve further.
Yeah, again, the inclusion in your guys' association sounds fantastic. There is one last thing I did want to talk to you guys about, and I don't know if either of you guys have tuned into MLS, but there's a certain young goalkeeper who came through the Saskatchewan system who is now starting quite regularly for the Vancouver Whitecaps in MLS and playing a starring role. I've watched him a few times, and he's phenomenal. I mean, and he's come through your system there in Saskatchewan. What does that mean for you guys, and how has there been like a buzz around that in the community?
Very much so. I think, you know, there's a lot of provincial pride when we see athletes go away and represent us, whether it's in the professional or the international ranks. You know, Kaylin, Kyle, and Kelly Parker were part of the 2012 bronze medal team. Kaylin, Kyle was a part of the 2016 bronze medal winning team for the Canadian women's national team, and now Thomas on the men's side, making that step up. I think it's a huge credit to the coaches that worked with him here within the province. I think it's a huge credit to the pathway that we have that, you know, provided him the opportunity to move from the Whitecaps program here into the residential academy. And I think he's actually the first member of the first person that within the Whitecaps organization that moved from a province to their residential academy, made it all the way through, and is now playing in their first team. But I think most of all, it's a credit to Thomas as a person. He's an incredibly generous and down to earth human being. When he was here with the Whitecaps dev squad playing against the SK Selects last summer in the Saskatchewan Summer Soccer Series, he jumped at the chance to come out and be a part of a youth camp we had going on the next day, and his desire to give back and just what a good person he is. We can only wish him the very best, and he does make us proud, so we don't even have to ask him to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A few years ago, one of my close friends was playing at Sask in their men's soccer program, and I think Thomas Hassel had come to train with them a couple times. Mm-hmm. And like that day, I'd never heard of Thomas Hassel before that, and then he texted us being like, "Guys, I've just faced the best goalkeeper I've ever played against." And I was like, "Well, what was his name?" And he was telling me about him, and I was like, "Okay, I'll look out for him." And now, like 3 years later, I see this guy starting at MLS, and I'm like, "Is this the guy you were talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's him." And it's just so cool to see the pathway like that, just even over the span of just a few years, when you're around like I suppose our age, like early 20s, in your late teens, things move really fast. And it's so cool just over the span of a few years to see how far he's gotten.
Yeah. And, it's a credit to Thomas, because it's not easy. Yeah. Getting to that echelon is not easy. And you've got to have, not just the ability and the skills or the potential, but you have to have the rest of the package, and that is not, everyone would be a professional player if they, if all they had to do was aspire to it, but it's the day in, day out work that he puts in that, has gained the trust of the coaching staff to put him in those situations, or to get him his first MLS contract, and then be a good member of the squad. Because for, last year he was the third choice goalkeeper. So that's not an easy position to fill, because you're not on the bench. You're having to train all the time. You're doing the work that the starting goalkeeper or the backup goalkeeper may not be able to do, and to maintain, professional attitude and to continue to push and elevate himself is terrific. And then more so, it's actually a tangible for young athletes in Saskatchewan. It's not out of the realm of possibility that you can play MLS now. They can see it, so they can believe it. And I think that has a knock-on effect that doesn't get seen right away, but gets seen years from now. And so, 4, 5, 6 years from now, he'll have been the inspiration behind more Saskatchewan players playing in the CPL or in the MLS, or representing our youth national teams or a full national team. And so it's just great to have role models like that that are currently playing in the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And so we can wrap up there, guys. It was so nice having you guys on the show.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having us.